Welcome back to our part 2 of the Brazil series with Mathilde. If you caught the last episode, you know we uncovered some amazing cultural insights and travel tips about visiting Brazil and attending the Rio Carnival. Today, we're shifting gears to talk about where to stay, how to get around, and one of my favorite topics, street food. So let's get into it. But before that, let's get to know a little bit about Mathilde.
Thank you for having me, Ananya. I'm happy to share more about my travels. I moved, so I actually lived in Brazil for 6 months. I spent about 6 months in Brazil. And during my time there, I tried to visit as much as possible. Brazil is a humongous country, so I obviously wasn't able to do everything that I wanted to do. But I did get to visit some really nice spots that I'm excited to talk about later.
Let's talk about where you were staying while you were in Brazil. You were enrolled at a university, so you were definitely at the university for bulk of your time in Sao Paulo, right?
Yeah, I rented a long-term Airbnb room next to the university, a 3-minute walk. Most of the places that I stayed in Brazil, I did it through Airbnb because there was some really good options. There's some like really cheap options. There's also some more like luxurious options. If you have a group of friends, there's some really nice villas that you can rent. I stayed in a couple of hostels in the Northeast when I was by myself. I stayed in some hostels as well. I did a few like posada, which is like basically like a bed and breakfast, Brazilian bread. So those I would book on Booking mostly. But all of those platforms like Hostel World, Booking, Airbnb, those work super well in Brazil. So those are definitely good tools to use when looking for accommodation. Yeah.
So, of all the hostels and Airbnbs that you stayed at while visiting places outside Sao Paulo, did any standouts where you were one that you would especially recommend to me or someone who's visiting those destinations?
Yeah, so there was one in Ilha Grande I stayed. It's called Hostel Hollandes. It was the cutest little hostel in the forest, close to the town, but far enough that it was completely in the forest. There was an amazing free breakfast. Everything was super clean. It was like the perfect match between wild in the nature, but still have your comfort and everything that you want out of an accommodation. And the staff was friendly. And it was just there was like a beautiful garden in front. And the architecture was really cute. They had these little pony houses. It's perfect location, a 5-minute walk uphill from town. It's really not far. And it was cheap, like $8 or $10 a night for a shared room, like a bed in a dorm.
No.
And that includes breakfast. So it's just, I don't know, for me, it
Right.
was a bargain.
That's quite nice, yeah, and especially if you're getting like this kind of a premium almost stay at a hostel where it's surrounded by nature and then quite remote as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And for staying in some of the bigger cities, would you have any recommendations about which areas to pick in Sao Paulo or Rio?
So Sao Paulo, there's Jardim. That's probably the nicest spot right south of the main avenue. That's where I would recommend people to stay. It's the safest area. It's got nice apartment buildings. If it's your first time traveling to Brazil, I would definitely recommend that because it's like it's safe. There's a lot of grocery stores, a lot of cute restaurants, walkable trees. You can take the bus and there's the metro on the main line. So that's a really nice area to stay in Sao Paulo. Yeah.
Journey.
Jardim, yeah. It means garden. And then Rio, the most touristic areas are Copacabana and Ipanema, which are nice. I stayed in Santa Teresa up on the hill. It's harder for transportation. During Carnival, I wouldn't recommend staying there because it's harder to get up there. But there was another that I had stayed in. Flamengo. I would probably recommend Flamengo more than Santa Teresa for Rio because it's like in between the Bay, Copacabana, and Ipanema. So it's a good in between, and it's close to a lot of metro lines as well. So that's a really, in my opinion, it's a really spot to stay, and that's actually the place that I stayed at during Carnival. So, and I really liked it.
That makes sense that you
Yeah.
pick a little bit of a spot that works out in both ways. So what about transportation in Brazil? Like you were
Mhm.
just saying, like one of the accounts is a little bit away. So how easy or difficult it is to move around while one is in Brazil?
It's actually very easy to move around in Brazil. The buses go everywhere. I took a bus from Sao Paulo to Iguazu, which is like 18 hours. And I think it was like $30 one way. It was just so cheap. And it was a great seat. You have a big leather seat that reclines all the way. You get snacks and a little water bottle. And then the driver makes like frequent stops so that you can buy snacks or dinner or whatever. Super safe, super clean, very affordable, very reliable. They leave on time, but they usually arrive late. So you need to take that into account when you're planning anything. They usually arrive like at least 1 to 2 hours late, especially on those like long journeys. Same thing like between Rio, Sao Paulo and Rio, take a 6 hour bus. Very easy. Buses all the time, every day. To all the beach towns I mentioned, I went by bus. The only time I rented a car was when I did the group trip when it was like 10 of us and it made more sense to rent a car. But other than that, all of my trips that I did, I took the bus. And then when I went to the Northeast, I obviously took a flight because it's really far by bus. It's like a 52-hour journey or something. But yes, the buses in Brazil are amazing. Probably some of the best I've ever taken.
So I just wanted to know the 18-hour journey. Were you comfortable in a bus?
Honestly, it's a lot more comfortable than being in a plane for 18 hours. You have more space, you can move around, and they make stops frequently every 3 or 4 hours. You can get out of the bus, stretch by something. Buses have toilets on board, 2 seats per row, and they have a little curtain in between seats. So if you're sitting next to someone you don't know, you can just pull the curtain, you have privacy. And I think there's 2 different classes. If you get like second class, that's like what I told you about. And if you get first class, it's like even better. You get like a little blanket, you have like your own little section. So yeah, it's super comfortable. Honestly, when I say 18 hours, it sounds horrendous, but it is not. And they also have like little TVs on board where they put movies. So if you want
Oh,
to watch it. Yeah. So honestly,
that,
yeah, the buses are great. Yeah. I mean,
that sounds like almost like a flight experience, but in a bus.
yeah, no, I would say it's better than a flight experience, because you have more space, it's more comfortable. Yeah.
So these are buses that one can find easily, like within every city, like at a bus stop, or does one have to make some advance bookings for them?
So you can buy your ticket at the bus station, but on long journeys, they'd fill up not quick. There might not be spots if you book the day of, but they're super easy to book online. You just put in your credit card and your information, and then yeah. And there's so many different websites that you can pick the buses from, and they're safe. They're reliable, and I would say the hardest part of the bus journey is just trying to find your bus once you're in the bus station. That's the only part that's like difficult, but the rest is just bookings easy.
Sure.
Once on board, you get assigned seats and they check your ticket before boarding.
That's great. Yeah. What about if someone doesn't want to take public transport? They want to book a taxi. Are like Uber and similar taxi apps also working? And
Oh yeah, I used Uber all the time. Like when I was in Sao Paulo, I almost never used public transport. I always used Uber just because where I was going was so I didn't see the need to use public transport. If I had a longer journey, I would take the bus or metro. The Ubers are cheap, reliable, safe. Most of the Uber drivers were friendly, chatty. They hear that you're not Brazilian and they start talking to you and, oh, what are you doing in Brazil? And blah, blah, blah. And how do you like it? Uber is amazing. In Rio, I was there during Carnival, so that's like a very specific scenario. But during Carnival, it does take some time to get Ubers, like for them to come to you and accept a ride. So that's just something you need to take into account. But in Sao Paulo, they're there in 2 minutes. Very safe, very affordable, reliable, a good option. And renting a car is fairly easy in Brazil as well. You don't need a special license.
okay, so it's very easy to get around once you get to Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, whether it's by bus, by car, or by flight. I don't know about train. I don't know if there's many. I don't know. I always took the bus.
Okay, that's good. What about your experience trying out Brazilian cuisine? Did you have a lot of local food? I'm sure you did over 6 months. Definitely one has to.
Yeah, I try to eat local foods as much as possible because I don't know when I'll be back in Brazil. So I need to enjoy it as much as I can. And there's like little Brazilian restaurants everywhere. At least in Sao Paulo, there's little Brazilian restaurants everywhere. They have I don't know if it's the national dish or just very popular in Sao Paulo called feijoada. I would eat that 3 times a week. It was just so good. It's just yeah, and there's, like, feijoada days, so, like, the restaurants, basically, they have the meal of the day every day, and it's always, like, on the same schedule, and so I think in São Paulo, the feijoada days were, like, the Wednesdays and the Saturdays. So every Wednesday and Saturday, you know that if you go to the restaurant and you order, like, the meal of the day, it's going to be a feijoada. And it was like $5 for a big plate with a bowl of like a little preparation rice and collard greens. It was so good. That's definitely my favorite dish for sure.
Seen, like I've heard about and seen feijoada, and the kind of like Brazilians are very emotional about it. On I share.
They're so proud of it. And honestly, I totally understand. It's so good. It's so good.
Okay, and so that's a must-have dish when in Brazil. And any other dishes that you liked? I mean,
Yeah, in the Northeast, I tried moqueca. It's like this kind of stew soup kind of preparation, and they usually put shrimp in it, and it's very creamy. It's really good. That's definitely obviously like each region has its special dishes, and so there's a lot of dishes that I didn't get to try because I didn't travel to those regions. In the Northeast, there's also something called acarajé, which is like this little fried piece of dough, and then they cut it in half, and then they stuff it with like crab meat and some seafood items that I can't remember. That's so good. So tasty. And they put like sauce on it. It's yeah, it's really good. And you can there's a lot of like street vendors that just sell it like that. You don't need to go into an establishment necessarily. Pastel is also really good. It's just like fried dough, and usually it has like either cheese or like ground beef in it. Same thing. You can get that on the street anywhere. Yeah, acai, obviously. I hadn't had many acai bowls like in the US and discovered acai in Brazil. It was love at first sight. It was so good. I had this little acai spot right outside my Airbnb in Sao Paulo. I would go there so often. The owner, she would be like, "Here's your bowl. I know your order." It's so good. It's just so much better quality and cheaper than what we have in the US. Then you come back to the US and you're like, "Oh, this is not it." Yeah, there's so many different foods to try. Those are the most famous and my personal favorites.
and you were saying that you were trying out from local shops and street vendors mostly.
Yeah, there's street vendors everywhere, really everywhere. Some sell corn on the cob, little popsicles, grilled cheese on a stick, chocolate covered strawberries on a stick. There's anything you want, they have. Oh, and they also have the hot dog stands that are so good. They add like these little crispy things on the hot dogs, and usually the hot dog stands are like outside of the nightclubs because they know that people when they're done clubbing, they're like hungry. And so there's some there, lots of good foods.
Or you won't ever be hungry in Brazil.
It's very easy to snack in Brazil for sure. Very easy to snack. Yeah.
That was such a helpful breakdown of where to stay and how to explore Brazil like a pro. And I don't know about you, but that street food talk has me craving some Brazilian flavors. But before you start planning your trip, there are still a few more important things that you need to know. In the final part of our series, we'll uncover how to overcome the language barriers, payment methods, and how to reduce your expenses, as well as how to blend into the local culture. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. See you in part 3.